blessed Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak. Ramadan. I've been enjoying myself here and enjoying the spirit and the tone. Allah knows best that that something that we need most is to listen to the voice in our souls that Allah has given us to guide us to community life. And I think what happened here this weekend is something that is only Allah's doing. That most of the presenters here have somewhat, because of the nature and the closest they feel to Allah, have somewhat relied upon their heart more than the scholarly work that they may have planned, that they allowed Allah to come in and influence the words that they were having to say. So I think I want to kind of keep with that trend. I'm enjoying that, and
Yes, sir.
and
Alhamdulillah.
and also there were also some very scholarly and profound things in support of this great subject. Again, thank you. In support of this great topic we have, researching our religion for the implementation of leadership. And if you remember the title, Imam Mohammed, we often carried on if there wasn't a title available. I used to stand behind those cameras at the first Sunday meetings, like my son is doing now. I did it with my father for a short while during those last few years of his life here on earth with us. And the title for some time ran the series Researching Our Faith for the Business Life in Our Communities, I think. Yeah. It was, I think one time I changed it to, it might have been by mistake, or he might have changed it, I'm not sure. But I said in communities, but it was neighborhoods, I think. Yeah. He was the business life in our neighborhoods. So we touched on that and on the fact that, and for us to establish ourselves, we have to have business life. In order to have leadership, you have to have resources. So Imam Mohammed talked about our beginnings and what he felt was the purpose, one of the major purposes of the Nation of Islam. And our beginning was to prepare us for today, to establish the business life and to put the industry back into the man, you know, and to make us industrious, so that once we had the religion and we had the Deen, we would have capable individuals, males. We would have males that are capable of supporting the life we have established here as Muslims. But we also witnessed that you know, it wasn't in Allah's plan for it to be easy. So we had a lot of setbacks, and we see, I think the Imam Weatherspoon was just talking about earlier how there are forces that right now that are rising up, and they're not just after the young people, I believe, they're after African American people. The forces don't want to see us establish community life and to have the freedom that others, because they feel threatened by the change that may happen, you know, and the loss of materialism and the loss of resources. But I don't think that's the real threat. I think it's just Shaitan's plan to not see Allah's plan for the life of human beings, to see the human family liberated. Because in reality, they trying to overlook us and act like, well, now we got to liberate the gays and the lesbians and all, but the African American still hasn't been liberated. So Allah's still doing that work, and they want to prolong it or see it cut short. You know, So yeah, we've made, I believe we made some really great progress this weekend. But establishing, having an implementation of leadership is putting it into effect. I forget the word, the definition, or executing, or I think there's another word, putting it into effect, putting things into work and executing. Now, I mentioned earlier that the way you do that is that we have to make an effort we have to make a plan. Anthony Weatherspoon said earlier that we have to plan, and then we have that plan, we have to put the people that support that plan, and we have to give them work and responsibilities, you know. Like I do at home with my children. I'm working, I'm always busy, but not too busy where I don't push them away, right? You know, I don't push y'all away, but I'm always working, I'm always busy. And if you ain't careful, my father used to do this. I used to sometimes tiptoe around him, because if you walk in the room, he might give you something to do. so I would sometimes, I'd almost trick all of them out into the yard. They think they're coming out in the yard to see something or talk or something. And next thing you know, I have from my little baby girl to my wife helping. I have everybody helping. Because I said, I could either be out here, it's a nice day, don't y'all want to spend some family time? I could either be out here all day, or we can knock this out in about a half hour. So let's take care of business. I'll pass out some little small shovels and some gloves. I said, let's do this. You know, we plant all the daffodils all at once. When I could have stood out there, I bought a big old flat. And I do that all the time. In the house, I say, well, why don't you clean up this and that? And then I remind them, psychology, I remind them, I say, what I'm asking you to do once a week, I do this every day. Why do you think the floor clean, the counter's clean, and the sink is empty? I do that every day. There ain't nothing. So you should be doing this with a smile on your face, because you here every day now. I could have you do it every day. You know, so that's what we have to do. We have to not be afraid to use the authority that Allah has given us. If Allah put you as an authority over someone, what are you going to say to Allah when Allah say, I gave you the help you needed? You're the man of the house. What did you do with your authority? You know, and as imams, we're the leaders in the community. You know, we can't look at the smoke and mirrors that they put out in front of us and tell us, well, we don't have rights to do this and we don't have to do that. Do it. You doing good. Ain't nobody gonna stop you. The police ain't gonna bother you. Nobody gonna bother you. You talk to them, the youngsters, like the brother that does the dawah. He said he'll go in the Ardell Gardens, any project. Yeah. Before he go, tell him to let me know. I had to send an escort with him. Make sure he don't get hurt, you know. But yeah, you got some places that yeah, you want to do dawah. You want to do dawah. And that's the thing about, I'm joking really, but I know Chicago. I could go on any street. I was raised and born in Chicago. I can go in the most dangerous project. Tell me where the projects are that the police scared to go in. I can go in there and talk to people. Because it's how you approach them and what you're saying. They're thirsty for what we have. I used to have, you know, hardened criminals and gangsters, like thugs and stuff. They would listen to me and just be so intent. And they haven't tell me, they say, love. I said, well, you know, I would back off because I find myself preaching to them. And they said, no, man, we like that, you know. Yeah, keep on tell me, you know, they use their slang talk. Yeah, you know, you be the peace you speak. Yeah, keep on, you know, tell me some more of that stuff you be talking. Yeah, you know, give me some more of that, you know. And I said, you know, alhamdulillah. And I started preaching to them. And I do feel more comfortable preaching to my peers. And it's sad to say, but that's where my peers are. You know, if they not, they hide them from me. I don't see them, because them little arrogant youngsters that I see in the places, working places sometimes, you know, that's not where I come from. And a lot of them are younger than me. I'm getting older now. But a lot of my peers have been almost eliminated from productive society. You know, they in jail or wherever. I don't know where they are. But my age, you should have a family, and a lot of them do have families. I see them when you like have services come in, working for ADT or the cable company and places like that. That's like my age group, a lot of them, and a lot of them are really productive people, have families, driving the UPS trucks, FedEx and all of that. Those are jobs that we get. But you don't see us as much as in the workforce as you used to see my age group, like doing landscaping. You know, they probably do it in some areas. You see them, but you don't see no really strong businesses. And I live a little bit outside of Chicago in the suburbs, like the far south side. So I'm not really in the heart of the city, but I hear it's not as much as I used to be. But I hear it's the same situation. And so what you have now is it's almost like an open field in our African American communities for exploitation. You got other races, people and nationalities exploiting the community for business, and also now you got Dawa groups. Now, mind you, I know some good people or good charitable groups, but they call themselves going into our communities and doing Dawa, and I would love to see what results. A lot of times they just use us to take a few photos of us standing in a soup line or something, you know, and say, look how charitable we are, and ask the government for a grant, you know. And so we're being exploited on all kind of levels. But yeah, as far as the implementation of leadership, we can look at the Quran and the structure and the model of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he set, and with the guidance of Allah for his leadership. And Muslims should have no problem putting leadership into effect or establishing leadership and making it effective for the growth of the community if we could follow the example. So we have to ask ourselves, why as leaders aren't we able to do what the Prophet was able to do, and what his followers and the Ansars and the believers at that time were able to accomplish. And I think what it boils down to is the doubt, having doubt in a proven strategy. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad took a little wisdom from Allah's messengers and from the life of Prophet Muhammad. He took that, and because of his sincere faith and his lack of doubt, he was able to accomplish things that the average African American was afraid to even think at that time, and a lot of them even now, you know. And because the norm, it was things out of the norm for African Americans to believe that they can support themselves. And then we hear all of these negatives about how there was a guard over you all the time, you know, because of the military structure. That was one of the most beautiful things about the Nation of Islam, that the men were organized and had a brotherhood and loved each other. And so now to have an army and have that type of military type of thing is not something that you would want in a polite society, or more or less to say from a religious group. But you think other people didn't follow in Honorable Elijah Muhammad's footsteps? You think they don't have armies? There's groups that have armies of men that are loyal and love each other. Not a violent army, but an army of soldiers for Allah and for goodness and decency and for service to their leader. We have that. We have that. But we have, you know how they say, too many chiefs and not enough Indians, too many cooks in the kitchen. Yeah. You know, not enough helpers or whatever. That's a situation where we find ourselves now. That we have the same circumstances. We just don't have enough sincere and loyalty to our local imams, and our imams don't have enough good people. If they got a good person working with them, that person is usually looking at them, and the imams consciously or unconsciously accept the role of mentor. We don't need another imam. In some situations, we need the imam need arms and legs and help and support. He don't need somebody to be him. He gonna do his job. He don't need no help. I remember I used to tell people, I used to be like, I got this. I don't need no help doing this. You know, you can ask me what I need from you, but I don't need you to tell me what I should do and how to do it. I don't need no help. I know what I'm doing. I know how to do this. I can handle this. You know, people used to come in and interfere, and they would interfere, you know, in your business. I said, no, don't do that. Don't be passing out and soliciting something I ain't selling. Or there's a brother, he passed away some time ago. I had to call him up and tell him. I said, man, I don't need, you know, I know he's sincere, he's trying to help. But I said, but you distracting the people. I'm a businessman, and I got a customer base that I'm leading them this direction, and you helping me, but you leading them that way. I said, no, I don't want them sending my money to you to get to me. Then what happened when something happened to you, you know? I said, no, but you can come and help me. You can get on my consignment and help me. So that's the situation we find ourselves in. Everybody is too independent, and that's the plot. There's a plot in the society to have you all scattered about and independent, you know. Like the stories that you hear about in the Bible and the Quran, we warned about these things, how the people are scattered about and made to have no unity. And Imam Muhammad, he was a powerful, he spoke about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Honorable Elijah Muhammad had a governmental structure that was well maintained and well structured. Imam Muhammad had a loose association and a loose structure, but he had the ability. He used to say, I wish I was like my father, and you know, because he cracked the whip. Now, how often do you have to crack the whip if you got all of your subjects or whatever, if you're a sheep herder or whatever, and you got them all in a corral? Now they follow commands, and they herd. Let's think of something that you can't corral. Fish in the pen or something. You got all the fish in the pen, so you tighten the net, they gonna get tight. You move the net this way, they gonna go. You lift the net, they ain't leaving the net. You know, Elijah Muhammad had them in the net.
Right.
Imam Muhammad, he out there in the water, and he slapping the water and he was cracking the whip. He had to.
Right.
And he had the ability to let the leadership know what he wanted, but they also knew that the net wasn't there. They knew that I can roam wherever they want. So they had to make a conscious choice that when he slapped the water, they respond, you know. And that's what he did. He did. And he got responses, but it never seemed to really gel where the fish remained fish. They didn't stop and say, hey, we need to listen to what the leader's saying and see how we can change this situation and increase his efforts and become extensions of his arm.
That's right.
Because he's got our attention here, but what about those that's out there? So that's what stopped happening. And I hear a lot of the leaders, a lot of you all would be upset that the leaders would sit under Imam Muhammad and take notes and listen to him, and then go back to the congregation and go back to the believers and not share the message, or they would take the message and portray it as not even the full message. They'd just take some of it and act like they just woke up this morning, and you know, like the angels or something descended on them. And all of a sudden they this dynamic imam, you know, and then next week they back to themselves, you know. Then they traveling again, they come back with something else, but don't say where they got it from.
Right.
So that's where we stand. We need to ask people to stop in our community, to stop looking for Jesus Christ amongst us.
That's right.
You know, you missed him. if you didn't see him, you missed him. You know, he come and gone. Yeah, our Savior, our real Savior. He's here with us. All we have to do is follow him.
That's right.
Imam Mohammed, he was our Jesus, our Moses, the best follower of Prophet Muhammad. He was the best of the best of us. He is still the best of us. And he's still leading us. But what we have to do is to, what I believe we should do is to become more organized. I said it before. We don't need to reinstate FOI and have a military, all that exercising and stuff. You exercise on your own time. Join the gym or something. Yeah, but we need to exercise this intellectually, and the best way to do it is to be organized. And even I couldn't even say. I used to say I sit in these council meetings, and there's one that is that I'm on where it's diverse. It's not all Muslims, different religious group, but these are professional leaders, professional people and leaders of groups of believers and God-fearing people, and the same with the Muslim group that I'm involved with. And we have PhDs, a lot of them are PhDs. These people have college degrees, and they know how to be organized and know how to organize and to stay within the boundaries of the law, and to really be productive when it comes to professionalism, really professional. What we feel we need. But sometimes you see a lot of professionalism, and then they have all of this experience and all this ability, and then you wonder, you know, what's the end result? You know, when is something big going to happen? And it's our diverse group that has reached that point. All you need is one person that's that believes in productivity. There's a priest on our group, and he's older. He's from Chicago, and I see him pushing. I can feel his thirst. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
He want to see some action.
That's right. That's right.
And so I have a lot of hope for us, because he's encouraging us, and I think we're gonna move in that direction, because now's the time for action and for productivity and to see results from our efforts. And we should always have a thirst. And the best way to know what it is our community wants and needs is to have a council. But we can't have a council of what do you call it? Of leaders that everybody want to be the boss, the head, you know, like the overseer or something. I just want to be the one that's in there calling the shots, and all this ego. We have to have sincere leadership, and that's not looking for power. This is why my father wasn't able to establish Shura, because first thing a person think is, how do I get on that Shura? How do I work my way to the top? And how do I get in my hands on control over either the people or the money?
That's right.
And black people, we can't get past that.
That's right.
You know, us Muslim, African American Muslims, us beautiful, great, believing Muslims, that when it boils down to it, we get distracted, you know, over materialism and want for power. But Imam Mohammed left us a powerful sign that, and then Imam Hamid Rasul just mentioned that if we could, Imam Elam mentioned that the group on the Lifeline had mentioned if we could get a specific number of people to donate a specific amount of money a year, that we can make a plan. Because $50,000, $100,000, that's a lot of money. And the believers on the Lifeline and the believers that support the Mosque Cares, they're better, I believe, than the people. Now, Imam Muhammad had more and greater resources, but I believe they're better than, even better than those people that started out with CPC contracts. Y'all volunteer group. Y'all better. Imam Muhammad had payroll.
Right.
I'm not taking nothing from Imam Muhammad. Imam Muhammad may have done that on purpose. He could have got the sincere believers to build CPC by not having payroll, because you know that type of person don't volunteer his time. He'll hang around for a couple of months, but y'all keep sacrificing for 6 months, a year go by, he still ain't got no money in his pocket. He ain't got no more power. He gone. All you have to do, you know, the hypocrites, you run them away. All you have to do is starve them out. You know, leave them nothing but charity. Like you can work for free. And that's what we've been doing. That's how I know we can do whatever we can achieve. Well, you know, Allah has He has guided us. He's been working this into our lives, where we get to the point where we trusting each other and we ain't got nothing over each other's heads. We can sit down. A sister could lead this because we trust the sister the same as we trust the imam.
That's right.
It's true.
That's right.
It's good sisters in this room that we know ain't gonna rob us.
That's right.
It's good imams in this room we know ain't gonna rob us. So we can trust each other, but we gotta be organized and structured, and we gotta make plans. And you gotta be aware. As soon as you mention you about to make some money, you're gonna be infiltrated.
That's right.
Big time. I think Imam Muhammad might have started out with the sincere believers, but the opportunists they come, and they come quick, and then you get overwhelmed. But you can't be defeated because you get undermined, you know, because you know things used to happen I just couldn't believe. You know, my father would have people supposed to be helping him, and he's doing more damage than the help he hired him for. If he had just left the thing in disrepair, it'd have been better off than when you sent that person in to fix it. You know, and that's what happens sometimes. Yeah, but you can't let that knock you down. And the community, I hope the broader community, the ones that support it, I used to hear. I wasn't in the office, but I used to hear the letters, and I used to get phone calls, and the frustration. The community was frustrated at what was happening with their investments. You know, but you're not investing. You got to look at the reality and the financial situation, and look at who you're investing with. You're investing with a community that was a thriving community under a false idea, and that the leader, helped change all of that and put us back on track. And we declared that we followed him and had faith in him, you know, despite of the loss, and that we didn't care about the material things, and that we didn't care if all of it was lost, that we were going to stay with the leader because we knew Allah was with him. And that's what we did. So what happens when you start investing $2,000 or $50? A lot of them was small money. Some people had $10,000, $20,000, and then they were looking at it like they were investing in some big billion-dollar corporation. And I'm not, you know, putting anybody down. Yes, ma'am.
Why couldn't we do like we did during Elijah Muhammad's time, when he said we'll have an economic plan?
Before my time, so you got to elaborate.
Well, the economic plan, and you have so many people, and you could put in there that we can uplift, like this is something to uplift our community, our Islamic community.
Like a fund specifically set aside to advance the community?
Right, to advance the community, and you could solicit.
We've had like building funds and things like that where we just put an ad in the paper, say donate your money to this and it's going to go do that. Those type of things, we can have that, but if you don't have promotion, if you don't have, we work hard. The brother was just telling you how he every now and then he's constantly getting information from the Mosque Cares on the internet. We constantly sending things in the mail with they practically bombard. That's what you have to do. But we don't even have a big staff doing that.
But if we, like, people are here from each state, somebody could get on that plan and you be the representative about going and asking people to donate the cent.
You got it. That's exactly what I would love to do. And